Imagine that you're 65. You're probably looking forward to retirement or spending more time with your grandchildren. But unknown to you, you have a 33% chance of being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Currently, Alzheimer's disease is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. But the scariest part is, there is no cure. So what can we do? Let's take a step back and first answer the question, what is Alzheimer's? Because quite frankly, after over 100 years of research, we still don't know much about it. It all happens in the brain at synapses, points where the brain transmits information. Basically, this is how we remember things. Normally in the process of communicating, the synapse will release neurotransmitters and a small amount of amyloid beta. Now usually the microglia, the quote-unquote janitor cells of the brain, will clear away the amyloid beta. But as we age, eat more high cholesterol foods, sleep less, and exercise less, the microglia will begin to slow down, allowing the amyloid beta to accumulate, forming sticky plaques at the synapse. You might forget someone's name, for example, but then remember it later. Or you might forget where you placed your phone, and then find it in your backpack. Now, don't freak out if this has happened to you before, because this is normal forgetting. However, once the plaques accumulate towards a tipping point, the microglia become hyperactive and actually start clearing away parts of your synapse. Now, instead of finding your phone in your backpack, you might find it under your pillow and find it and think, how did it get there? At the same time, proteins that transport nutrients to the brain cells, called tau proteins, collapse, cutting off the nutrients to the neurons, leading to rapid cell death. This topples the first domino that leads to short and long-term memory loss, then erratic mood changes, hallucinations, and a collapse of the control center resulting in death. But what if I told you that you could prevent the inevitable and change your brain's destiny without using a cure? Here's what you can do. Number 1. Spend 30 minutes a day doing moderate to vigorous physical activity. I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse here, after teachers talking about this for years, but routine physical activity improves memory, enhances the endurance of cells, and prevents brain shrinkage. Number 2. Get at least 8 hours of sleep each night. Sleep deprivation increases the output of amyloid beta, and amyloid beta, in turn, makes it harder for you to fall asleep. I know 8 hours sounds like a lot for some of you, but that's a vicious cycle that you simply don't want to be in. Number 3. Maintain a low cholesterol intake. Cholesterol increases the production of amyloid beta, so try some more whole grain foods, apples or beans, or even consider a Mediterranean diet. But even doing all 3 of these things, what if the dreadful diagnosis still comes? You should be showing symptoms of full-fledged Alzheimer's. It's too late, right? Not necessarily. You still have one more protection, one last line of defense, one last bit of insulation. It's your neural plasticity and cognitive reserve. What Alzheimer's ultimately comes down to is the destruction of synapses. Your brain has over 100 trillion synapses, but that number changes all the time. Each time you learn something, you gain a synapse. Each time you forget something, you lose a synapse. That's your neural plasticity. In 1986, 678 nuns, all over the age of 75, donated their brains to science in a study that is now known as the Nun Study. Over the span of 2 decades, they received regular checkups and cognitive tests, and when they died, researchers were able to examine their brains, and they noticed something very strange. Their brains were filled with plaque, the collapse of tau proteins, brain shrinkage, and cell death, sure signs of Alzheimer's, yet they showed no symptoms when they were alive. How can this be? Many scientists have concluded that due to their high level of cognitive reserve, basically more functioning synapses, they were delayed from the symptoms of Alzheimer's. The more years of formal education you have, the more you engage in mentally stimulating activities, the more you learn new things such as coding or learning how to play a new instrument, rather than simply retrieving information that you already know, such as doing crossword puzzles. These are all things that build up your cognitive reserve. Alzheimer's may destroy your synapses, but you will always have backup connections to replace them. Let's take a simplified example. Let's take Princess Anne High School. You know that Princess Anne High School is located in Virginia Beach. You know that it's old, you know that there's an IB program there, and you know that their mascot is a cavalier. Now let's say Alzheimer's destroys all your connections except that their mascot is a cavalier. You could still remember Princess Anne High School. However, if you only had one connection, you would forget it forever. So here's what I want you to take away from this video. Dig deeper into things that interest you. Be curious. Don't be afraid to try new things. Embrace a growth mindset and learn from your failures. Meet new people and learn more about them. We don't know when Alzheimer's might strike, so we have to begin actively building our cognitive reserve as soon as possible, because we need all the protection we can get. So why not start now? So that's it for the video. Thank you for taking your time to watch it, and please leave comments with your thoughts, takeaways, or feedback to support my personal project. Thank you.